Okay, today we do air build order. For air, there is basically only one build order. I will just play it down now and will say some things to it. And I think I will make a second record where I talk over this build and explain a little bit more. But for now, I will just keep it basically simple. Lay it down. So it's factory, 4 max first, 2 pigeons, and then we go for the hydro. Factory, 4 maxes, 2 pigeons before hydro, and then we go to the hydro. I set my first ACU here. I will explain it later. Second ACU here, second engineer here. You have to be quite careful in those builds with your reclaim, because it's quite important that you not stall. You can watch this here. Yeah, speed is a little bit important, so that's why I can't talk too much. You see, in my opinion, it looks easy in replays, but it's not that easy actually to execute, because you have to be fast. But actually, I don't know how to. I mean, it gets easier, then you need more pigeons early on. So basically fine. We nearly stalled, but we didn't because of the reclaim. It's everything not perfect here, but it doesn't have to be perfect at this point. It's just the most important thing is that you get done and don't waste too much time microing your engineers, because there's enough to do. We don't get reclaim from front, which sometimes kicks in. So you usually have even more mass. Have more mass. Okay. That gets easier. Now it's important to micro your reclaim engineers. And a little bit it depends on how much mass you have now, how hard you go when you put 2 mixes. What you don't want is to stall one or the other. But once you have a little bit mass spare, go as fast as possible for future. Now we have the for future technical mixes. Oh, this was a little mistake here, but we just pretend it didn't happen. Just lead now to a little bit slower air factory. I think this is like a medium build, like it's not super fast air, but it's quite fast air, but it's also decent on eco, and there should nobody be able to beat you with that on the strat or something like that. You can't be strat rushed, in my opinion. I mean, you can, but that's basically insane these days. Okay. Last factory done. Queue up. factory mixes, but not all at once. You see the equivalence is quite nice right now. And why it's getting a bit easier, we just keep that. We don't want to have too much mass at this point. We don't actually need the mass. We just take it when we need it, because we don't want to overflow both things. So we don't stall our engineers reclaiming, because engineers stop reclaiming if power and mass bar are full. While we have enough mass, we take more power. Now we can take it. In the meantime, it's important to micro your reclaim engineers. It could be a little bit better, but that you have, oh, that's a mistake here. You don't want to make storages. This you have to find yourself out watching replays, but overall it's quite nicely executed. Important things are happening. Now we go to the 2 regions. It's around minute 6. Yeah, it is 6:10. Everything between 6 and 6:30 is cool. Your first region. After the first Tech 2 pigeon, you can start in the Tech 3 factory. That's why you don't make too many engineers. It's quite annoying that the rest is empty. At this point, you could start to play different. Usually, yeah, you can now attack also the reclaim from with more engineers, because you want to equal it. Now it started to not be that perfect, but we just play it out. So you see what happens. After the pigeon is finished, you assist full breed hardcore Tech 3 factory. You see you have enough power. And you have enough mass to full power. In the meantime, you can already start ecoing a bit, because as you see it's 740. We are quite ahead. You want to go with 4 engineers. Don't make too many engineers, because they're each 300 mass, and this will, if you build too many of them, it will lower your ability to eco further, because they are quite expensive and you don't need more build power in the beginning. When we finish Tech 3, the greedy way is to use 2 of those 4 Tech 3 engineers to go 1 here and 1 here to assist upgrading the premixes. And then there's, oh, I forgot this, it's important. You can watch replays where it's done better, but basically the same. So we go now a little bit more greedy and go here and use the first engineer to help ecoing. In the meantime, you want your maxes getting kept. I will do a review of other builds after that and explain why that was good or not good. Okay, now we have 9:10, so the Tech 3 pigeon will be done at around 9:40, and after it's done, you want probably full assist on your F factory. You usually set a move command, maybe here or here to your flanks, because it's where you want your ASF first. And then you make ASF, When you make ASF, you stop making more engineers. You actually reclaim your factories earlier. It was also a bit quite intense talk and do it at the same time. And what you then do, be most efficient, is to retain your 2 maxes, make tech 3, but you want more build power with it, because otherwise it's not efficient. And then you do 1 tech 3 mix after the other. Usually if you have, in this case we have double ras faction, you want 2 tech 3 mixes before you expand your air grid further. We have quite a lot of willpower here, it's actually too much. Because it's willpower here also means that you use more mass on your ASF, which leads to less mass to ecoing. See, we stall, it's not good, it's not what you want. More mass. This is reclaimed, this is also reclaimed. Not the greatest execution, I have to say, so it's why it's a little bit slower. But I want to get to the point, the build order. This is your basic way to do things. As I said, I will explain more in the talk over with the replay. But we will proceed a little bit more, because what important is that you want after 2 tech 3 mixes, you want to go for your next pigeon. After it's done. Not before, because if I would start now with the execution, I would use a lot of mass, which then is not available for the max. We want to have it efficient. Okay, you can start. And after you finish this one, you actually can already queue a lot of air factories, but you have to be fast after that pigeon directly. You don't want to lose any seconds. You go for auras, because before we have those factories, we have a lot of power overflow, and we want to use that on our ACU to get auras as fast as possible. Actually, in the best case, before we have finished the next factories. After that point, you have a lot of air. This is not the most greedy build, but it's a lot of air very early and still decent economy, and you can adjust it pretty good. And you want to have enough build power. You see, you kind of need a lot of engineers to make really use of all your resources available. And after that, it's your adjustment of how far you want to expand. You basically want more mass now. More mass leads to more structures later. I see we're a little bit late, so you have to, you need to wait a little bit, or just use as much power as possible. Yeah, Ara is done. That means we can already assist it even further. We can already start producing ASF on the slave factories. And yeah, um, that's your basic air build. Our hours will be finished. It's quite nicely right now. I mean, we did a lot of tiny mistakes here, but we still managed to have decent air. I mean, this, even with those mistakes, it was totally fine. And you will see that when the hours is done, we have enough power to run all those factories here on 2 pigeons. We have 2 pigeons, and we can even run the additional factories. And now we have also enough power to take the maxes, because taking up the 3 maxes is quite power intense. Actually, we have enough mass right now to do both at the same time. And then how you eco, it's up to you. You don't need actually to reclaim those Tech 2 maxes here, but it's the most efficient way, because you regain like 800 mass from the wreckage, but you lose the income during the time you rebuild. So if your rebuild time is too long, it gets less and less efficient. So like this year, this is not ideal. They pause. They are on auto pause. I have a mod that auto pause on efficiency. Actually, a quite neat trick. I will do in another video on what kind of things they use to help. It's not a lot. I mean, the most important things are your hotkeys. Other than that, there's not much more. It's a scoreboard and a little bit of Eco Manager. Okay, so we end it here, and then I will talk over another replay probably, and explain a little bit more about air Buildorders. Okay, now we're in the game. That's not long ago. I actually don't know how I played air here, but I will just take this as an example from a live game to talk over what I did here. So it's basically the same start factory. Form axis first. Then we need 2 pigeons to balance out your power, balance out our power, and it also helps a little bit by upgrading this max first, because those 2 pigeons deliver a little bit of power efficiency to the upgrade. Yeah, first engineer, you want to expand those. You want to expand to those 3 maxes here, and then you want to have an engineer factory around here. And then the second engineer here. You want to go here basically because that's the fastest way to access, or not the fastest way, you could go also here. But you get reclaim here, and you get 3 maxes this route. That's why it's important basically, and the reason why people go here and here first, because you get 3 maxes here. So yeah, the second engineer goes this route to take all those and sets up. That's why it's also important. You want to have this reclaim factory as early as possible. Yeah, third engineer has to be on the hydro, because otherwise your ACU would be idle. And that's basically right about time. If any further seconds later, the ACU would wait even more. And what you do then, you send your fourth engineer to take this max here, get the reclaim on this route, and then prepare to get this rock, which is quite neat to have at this point. So you only need 4 engineers to expand. And then you go to reclaim. I prefer to go here. The reason is why. The reason why is it's basically the fastest possible position to get decent amount of tree reclaim. I mean, this is also close and this is also close, but you don't want to send your first engineer here, because then it takes all the time traveling here before you get the reclaim. So you go first here, and what you don't want also, you don't want to go like here or here, because the trees are broken. And that means you don't get a lot of power early on. And you don't want that. You want the nice tree groups first to get as much power as possible, because you need the power. In the meantime, you build the hydro only with your ACU, and you can take this engineer that started the hydro to get those maxes here and some reclaim on the way. And then what you also don't want to do is send multiple engineers at one point. You don't need that many engineers. What you want to have is a steady income. And if you send a lot of engineers at one point, they reclaim very fast, and you have to be really careful that they don't lose their attack command and their reclaim order. That's why you want to have basically only single amount of NGs in the spots, so they reclaim over a long period of time constantly, and you don't have to take care about the commands here. What you want to have is basically 4 or 5. After the 4 expanding engineers, you want to have like 4 or 5 engineers. So this, that, that go to the reclaim spots. And you see I choose different, so every engineer has their own trees for themselves. And in this case, I go for 4 engineers. And then I go, it's also important, you want to have some mass in the beginning, so that's why I finished this max before I make pigeons. But after this max, it's quite important to start pigeons, because otherwise you won't have enough power. Yeah, see, eco balance is fine. Oh, that's not the greatest thing, but that's not a problem. Max is done, next max will be finished. ACU goes then here, makes this ready, but I already start here making pigeons. The amount of engineers now is quite enough. You have a quite decent rate in making pigeons, so you can also send, and it's quite good to send the other engineers reclaiming around your base. So you get a little bit more income, because you are already able to spend all your income. As you will have then also, it's even more build power, so it's allowed 6 engineers build power here, making power. And that's why we want to have as much reclaim as possible. And that's why what we constantly do while we have set up everything here, we micro our engineers. If you have time, you manually reclaim. And then, yeah, like I said, care about your expansions. Reclaim factory has to be finished. Factory starts yet around 5. That means around minute 6 we have our Tech 2 factory ready, and then you make like 4 to 5 Tech 2 engineers. You see, eco balance is quite nicely. You don't want to start too late upgrading your maxes, because as long as you have enough power, you want to use it also on the upgrades. Tech 2 max is 62 power, so we run right now 3 Tech 2 mixes. This is like 180 power use, so that's not quite a lot. It doesn't matter right now. Okay, minute, yeah, it's quite late. It's a little bit later. It's in my replay. So this basically means the later you should have your Tech 2 pigeons, the more mass you should have, which is fine. because it means that you can build up later. In the meantime, what you want is always micro your reclaim spots and micro your additional engineers, upgrading your maxes. You see, eco is balanced all the time. There should start the Big 3 upgrade. It should be commanded soon. Because of right now we wasted a bit of power because the upgrade didn't start. Now it starts. Now we are using all the power that is available to us while not stalling mass, which is quite perfect. I feel at this moment I have enough engineers, which is 15 take 1, 5 take 2. It's a decent amount. It's quite few, but it's okay. And I have enough engineers to build up my storages, which you also want to have, but you don't want to have more, because every engineer that you overbuild means 50 mass per engineer that you waste. But you need, on all routes, enough engineers to build up your storages. So it's like 10, real thumb, like 10 engineers on each lane. They don't have to, I mean, I don't like to get just 10 engineers on one spot, because I like to decrease the travel time. But the important thing is that after you have enough engineers, you also reclaim your factories. Get that mass check as well to speed up a little bit your eco. See, now we started at 9, that makes 3 pigeon. I queued up 4 tech 3 engineers, that's enough for me. If we would do even more, we would use mass that we don't really have at this point. I don't exactly know what I did this game, but we just take what we see. Yeah, I probably saw that my opponent doesn't have too fast air, so I delay my pigeon on purpose, because I know he's not faster. It's just torpedo bomber here getting pinged. I use my build power to increase my mass income, because I don't need ASF that early. It's now over 10, but I know that I could have made the pigeon even faster, but I didn't want to because I prioritized mass income here. The reclaim wasn't too perfect here as well, but it still was decent. The biggest shit is reclaimed. Now we focus on this case. I didn't. Ah, okay, I see. Okay, but just stick to my other build order. In this case, I thought I will try to build a little bit more air early on. Actually, I don't know why, but this is why I made those surges. They increased the pigeon power from 2,500 to nearly 3,000, so I have 500 more mass income. And why storages are nice, I mean, one storage here or somewhere else is always good, because it's, you see that if you're stalling or there's a break between the ASF getting built, then you can regenerate more power to your disposal, and then you are able to use more your power of what you generated, and you don't waste power when your storage is too small. So that's why storages are quite nice. Yeah, we do a little bit of aggression here, and I do the maxes here because then I don't have to send my engineers this way, and I have my engineers available right after I upgraded to Tech 3 maxes. Yeah. At this moment, I reclaimed this pigeon because I realized that our aggression doesn't work. And since my aggression doesn't work, I decrease the amount of ASF I build, because it doesn't matter right now. And I try to help my eco getting built up with reclaiming that mass. But other than that, it's kind of similar. I mean, this is one tech 3 makes more, but you want to have after 2 or 3, basically I go with two tech 3 mixes with your second tech 3 pigeon. After that you make brass. I do it in the meantime because I get a little bit greedy here and I have the mass storage, so I use the power I have available. So here you see I'm already 20% done when the first pigeon is ready. So it's a little bit faster. So we are a little bit faster at the point that we can use the slave factories to build more ASF. I mean, it's also not perfect, but I hope it helped you. Yeah. That's all I can do for now.